Welcome to Blockchain Basement. My name's TJ. I'm happy to be back. I missed you guys the last couple days. Big shout out to Nick and Drew who stepped in. I know you guys had a really good time with them hosting. Drew did a great job last week. Gonna have a really good show for you guys today. We're gonna talk about the China pump. You know, everybody talking about it over the weekend. Looks like China's getting back involved in crypto, or at least opening things up to the public. So they say. We got a massive pump on Conflux. We're gonna look at a little bit of why that happened and what's going on there. Some things to watch in Bitcoin this week. Maybe some, we're going to do some quick reviews, a little bit about Jesse Powell talking about the SEC's corruption there. So big shout out to all of you guys. We have a really good show. We've got AJ Writes Crypto joining us here today. We've got Ali B, the beautiful Ali B, and on the board, the Druth as always. He's going to be hopping over on the couch here in just a few minutes. And then maybe adjust that white shot a little bit. It is super wonky. Yeah, so maybe try to do that right now. Yeah, sorry, my OCD kicks in. OCD. Shout out to all of you guys in the chat. Obviously, you guys are what makes it great. Joe Stonkman, Crypto Tony, Drew Foria. Oh man, look at that. We got a Drew name there. Chemistry Bro, as always. The real Crypto Stevo says Algo AJ. Hey. Puin 78 Div. I still don't say that right. And then on the tubes, Drew GG, Justin Eubanks, Patrick Kilmartin, Husker Dan, Captain Daddy, Root, Husker Dan again, Maniacs World, Friendly Neighborhood Pleb, love that name, Servanto Estradas, that's right, love all you guys. So it's gonna be a great show. We're looking forward to it, and yeah, we're gonna talk some crypto, which who doesn't love doing that? Who doesn't love it when the price is moving? Right before we started, AJ was telling me about some of his trades. You said what, 7 out of 8 on your trades recently?
7 out of 8. My last trade's not bad. The invisible person on the couch has been like whispering in my ear, and he's just been telling me, the right time. Oh, that's pretty wild. The new camera here, I like it. Wait, so do we have the the YouTube and the Twitch chat now?
Yes.
Oh, very cool. So anyway, my trades have been going well. Definitely, if you guys have some free time in the morning before the BitBoy crypto live stream, I highly recommend going over to BitLab Academy and listening to Kelly Kellum. He's been spitting some straight knowledge over there. He's very, very smart. One of the best in the business with TA. I consult with Kelly on a lot of my trades. We talk about trading all the time. If you guys caught that little bit on Friday, I did a guest spot over there at for the BitLab Academy. I was on there for like probably 10 minutes. I was like talking about Bitcoin, talking about some of my altcoin picks, and I gave out a sand position that actually pumped 12% since I gave that position. Anyone who caught that, congratulations. I caught a little bit of it. I actually bailed out of it too early, but yeah, I made my money. I took a free win. Anytime you're in the green, it's okay to just win. You don't have to get greedy and roll the dice, because there have been so many times where I'd be up a bunch and I'm like, oh, it's going to go to a couple more pennies or whatever, and then I end up losing most of my profits because I got greedy. So this time it was a little backwards. I took my profits trying to not be greedy, and then it goes up way more. So classic stuff, but that's trading. You win some, you lose some, but it's always good to take that win when you can, roll with the punches. Shout out to everybody in the chat. It's been a little bit since I've been on Blockchain Basement. I've been super busy. You know, helping Ben with the whiteboard videos has been quite the deep dive, and then scripts after that, the second part of my day. And the book tour was so much fun. I saw someone said they met me in Denver. I hope everything's going well. We're actually going back to Philadelphia and New York Thursday and Friday. So if you're in those towns, definitely come by the to the meetup. It'd be great to meet more people. Yeah, I mean, the book tour was just absolutely insane. It was so cool to see. Like, it's one thing, Tej, like when we're at the office and we just do our day to day,
right? And
like we see each other and we know that we're getting views on YouTube, like we know. But then when you go out and actually meet the people, absolutely, that come up to you, like, dude, like this changed my life, or especially with Ben, like how many people like have life changing completely changed their lives from the stuff he said. And it's just mind-boggling to see that in person. Like, some people literally come up to him like with tears in their eyes because they're just so grateful for everything. And that's the stuff that dreams are made of. That's the stuff that like makes me like super inspired to keep going, super inspired to like send a good positive message. Shout out to the Real Crypto Stevo. I met you in DC and you were very cool as well. He even has a shirt that says Crypto Stevo on the back of it, and absolutely love that shirt. But yeah, this has just been, the past couple of weeks have been a lot, and it's definitely really fun seeing the market. You know, I'm kind of to kind of segue here to talk about Bitcoin. Like, I love that the ball dropped. The ball dropped. We start pumping. You know, everyone's like, oh my God, thank God. And in the back of my mind, I'm still just like not completely sold on the fact that this is the start of the next bull run. And even more so, we really needed a weekly close above 25K, and we didn't get it. And Kelly and I agreed on this. He said 25.5, I just said 25, and that we would, if we did that, we could go to 28.5, 29. We didn't get that close. And another big deal here is that, so when we crashed in June, we popped back up to like 25.5, 25.3, something like that. And we are yet to get over that level. And until we can like get past that heavy resistance point, I kind of feel like this year is gonna kind of tease us out. I feel like there will be periodic pumps. There will be coins that separate themselves, especially with Hong Kong coming back into the game. There's a lot of bullish news. There's a lot of roadmaps playing out.
That hit yesterday, and like the price just went chaos.
I'm not saying that you can make money in pumps, but I am saying that until Bitcoin gets above and stays above 25, there's kind of a low volume gap that would take us to 28, 29. And I'm waiting for that to happen before I really unload the arsenal, because that is like, I mean, because they're what's the CME gap?
Yeah, we're gonna get into some of those stories here in just a minute.
Okay. Real quick, Satoshi Glockamoto asked, "Where can we find you on YouTube?" It's Blockchain Basement.
Yeah.
And Ralphie227, how's it feel that the Clintons are in on algo? AJ, not a good look.
So all right, so I made a video about this. for my Twitter, and I didn't post it.
You didn't.
And I like watched it, and I was like, yeah, like I could say this, but I'm not gonna say it. But here's the thing: is that am I a fan of the Clintons? Not exactly. You know, I'm not. I'm like really walking on eggshells right now. But so hold on. So here's the thing. Here at the end of the day, the movement is for entrepreneurial-minded women in India helping with climate change. And I'm completely good with that. I don't care like who is behind it. If they're actually helping those women, if they're actually making a difference, if it's actually like doing what it says it's supposed to do, I'm all for it. Like, do I think AJ ain't getting suicided? You're right about that. See, I'm not against the cause at all. Do I like the optics? Not exactly. But if it actually helps those people, if Algorand actually makes a difference with those women in India, I'm all for it. And if anything, it kind of guarantees a pump, in my opinion.
All right, safe answer.
So, okay, real quick, I want to touch on a couple different things you said. Obviously, that 25, we're going to look at a couple stories that talk about some of those levels. There are a lot of people looking at 25 too. And we're also going to look at, you know, the top pumpers. Obviously, we've got Bitcoin holding strong at 24.8. Did start last week to pull back a little bit on Friday, bounced right back, which again gives a lot of people confidence. Somebody was saying in the chat, you know, the bear market's over. Don't be in denial, which I would tend to agree with it. I think what he was saying is we might be in bullish momentum, but we're not necessarily going back to all-time highs this year, which I think most of us are in agreement with in the basement on this chat. That's going to be the bottom is most likely in at 16. You know, or 15.8, 15.5, wherever, you know, whatever chart you're looking at. But under 16 was most likely the bottom. I don't think we're going to get a new bottom this year. I also feel like it's going to be what I keep calling a slow grind up for most of this year. I think we'll range in the 20s for most of this year. I do think we'll get a mid-year breakout here, you know, some point in the middle of this year, like we saw in 2019. You guys have heard me say this over and over again, and we're seeing bullish momentum to do that. To his point, it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take time. We're going to have to hold some of these levels, and we're going to look at some of those. We even had Adam back, you know, some might say, you know, Satoshi himself or one of the part of Satoshi's talking about that. And yeah, Chemistry both saying, well, yeah, it's not the start of the next bull run. It's just mid post bear market, pre-bull run time in the cycle where you get some relief. Yes, exactly. So it is the beginning of the bull run. Technically, if the bottom is in and we're slowly moving up, then technically it is the bull run. It's just not the most fun part of the bull run. It's kind of that accumulation range, which again, we've talked about a lot on this channel. I feel pretty strongly, like I said, we'll be between 20 and 28, maybe break out towards 30, you know, towards 40. Some people are even saying beyond 40 and 50. I don't know if we'll get all the way to 50. I think we're going to see hard resistance at 40, probably get rejected off of that, pull back down into this accumulation range. But what we were talking about, and this is something Ben and I were talking a little bit this morning, if we get that mid-year breakout, it could be some really fun action, not just for Bitcoin and Ethereum, but for some of the lower cap alts. And that's what we're starting to see right now, where Bitcoin moves up and holds, then we get some alt action, you know, where you can make some money, take some profits, move it into your long-term accumulation holds, and that could be a pretty good strategy going forward. So real quick, we'll look at the markets here. Bitcoin coming in at 24.8, holding, you know, still up for the week. Ethereum up for the week. You know, and a lot, if you start to scroll down here, well, we'll just go ahead and look at the big movers here. Obviously, stacks, you know, block stacks. This is smart contracts on Bitcoin. This is a lot to do with the ordinals and the NFTs going on Bitcoin right now. And Conflux. We're going to cover a story here. Conflux is part of this Chinese hype. And I will say I think it's mostly hype. I'm not saying it's completely irrelevant, but we have heard over the years, oh, you know, China, you know, the China this coin, China that coin, they're going to pump this, they're going to pump that, Korea's going to pump this, yada, yada, yada. And it comes back to, I think we covered it a couple days ago or what am I got a sandwich on my mouth. Sorry,
I can't
guys.
zoom. I'm sorry. I can't get in there. But.
You're good. You're good. We don't need a zoom on my I've been pounding this sandwich while AJ was talking, but we've seen a lot of people talking about this, and it is somewhat hype. We've seen it in years past where they're saying, you know, oh, Neo was the Chinese blockchain. I know Icon was, you know, was it Korea? I can't remember. But what we're going to look at here is Conflux today, an insane pump on the week of 473%, obviously pulling back right now, but you can capitalize on getting in on these narratives and getting in on them early. I'm not saying to pile into Conflux. When you see something like that, you know it's going to retrace. You need to wait. Filecoin, look, here it is right here. Neo, I just mentioned it. This is a rehash of some of these older coins. VeChain, another one that has a little bit of that narrative. So let's look at what is Conflux, why is it pumping, and so you guys can kind of get up to speed on some of this stuff. So here we go. China's only public blockchain, Conflux, sees CFX skyrocket 1,300% in 2023. Social media metrics show strong retail investor sentiment behind the ongoing CFX rally. What is it? It's known as the Shanghai Tree Graph Blockchain Research Institute, is the only regulatory compliant blockchain and permissionless blockchain in China. Conflux is a layer 1 blockchain operating on a hybrid of proof of work and proof of stake mechanism. That's kind of interesting. It's rallied nearly 1,300% year to date to reach 0.324 as of February 24th, its highest point in 13 months. So let me just look at how long has this been around? If we just go to the all here. Looks like it was around in 2021, got as high as $1.50 approximately back here in March of 21, which is kind of before a lot of the bottom started falling out of most of the market. Just interesting here. Based on the history and the potential to rip through upside liquidity, I'm still scalping longs. Material indicators added from a TA perspective, this should be a local top, like I just said, but the notorious BID is still running the Binance order book. They're distributing Bitcoin ass liquidity out of the 25 to 25. It's the same range. You know, he was talking about whether you're looking at 25.2, 25.5. Basically, taking and holding that mid 25 level is going to be very, very important for Bitcoin to flip some of the weeklies, some of the longer term timeframes. It's looking very good on the 200 EMA, which I think was even what Adam Back was talking about. Oh wait, I flipped back to a different story, didn't I? I was like, what is this? Is not talking about conflict. I flipped back. This is the conflict story. Yeah. So I've got two storylines running in my head here. So strong fundamentals on the CFX price higher. Again, this is more what I want to stress to you guys is not to be too focused on any specific coin or project, but on the narrative. So this is pumping on the narrative that Chinese tokens are going to be pumping, or, you know, Chinese projects are going to be pumping, and basically people talking about it opening back up and getting post-COVID relief and not lockdowns ending and opening markets back up to retail traders, which again, you were saying it was more institutional traders that are getting access, right, AJ?
Yeah. So I did a little deep dive on this whole thing this morning. If you want to watch this, tonight's whiteboard video at 10 p.m. Ben will be covering this entire thing that we've researched. So basically the short version is that there was a tweet that went out that kind of misinterpreted you know, Hong Kong regulatory push to re-enter into the crypto market. This kind of goes off the back of Justin Sun back in December saying that he's optimistic about Hong Kong crypto moving forward. There's like a treasury backed blockchain based push that got moved forward, and then there's a bunch of other companies getting in to set up, because you have to, in China, it's like a bit license there. You have to kind of sign up for it, and you have to apply for it and get approved. And if you kind of work without it, they will just like kick you out real fast in a hurry. So basically the push here is that sorry, my nose was killing me. No, so wait, I completely lost my train of thought. Wait, what was
Is your nose bleeding?
No, I know.
Hong Kong?
No, I know.
Oh, it's just bleeding. A weird light. Oh, by the way, they were roasting us on the paint job here in the basement. They're saying it's a very basement-like paint job when we go to that tight shot. So
that's what it is.
Yeah, so you're talking about the misnarrative of the reopening to retail.
The tweet.
Yeah.
Thank you. So the tweet here was basically saying that retail is going to be allowed to get pushed back into the game. But the tweet was kind of a misinterpretation of the rule. And the rule actually is that the whole regulatory thing, you have to have a bit license, and that is only for professional accredited investors, aka institutional investors, to be able to buy crypto. And they're only offering highly liquid assets like Bitcoin or Ethereum. They're going to make sure like anything that they put out cannot be like 51% attacked or anything like that. It's going to be like safe, sure bets for them, and that so they're gonna have a conversation about it between now and March 31st, and then it takes off on June 1st. But the retail is still, it's a possibility, but it's not on the table like the other part is. So, but it's definitely for the professional accredited investors. So the retail maybe, but at least the you know, they can get in now.
Yeah,
so.
and one thing of caution I would say on this is, you know, like I said, this is narrative trading, and it's a lot of hype stuff. This is not new to crypto. This is things we've heard before. So we got a story here that says Bitcoin regains 25K amid hope record China easing will boost BTC price. And again, it will, the hype could, but then, you know, we've got some pullbacks. You know, we've got, like Frank was covering it today, the daily is not looking very good. We've clearly got resistance here at this 25. I mean, you can just look at it on this chart. I mean, you've got rejection here, rejection on this wick, rejection on that wick. So we're kind of due for a pullback, in my opinion. Bitcoin buoyed by notorious BID, what does BID stand for here? Let's see, something called notorious BID. Multiple rejections from the 25K correlates perfectly with the Bitcoin macro TA with a valid reason to TP at these levels, but notorious BID is still trying to push the price up. Based on the history, the potential to rip through upside liquidity, I'm still scalping longs. And that's kind of what I think, is this Adam Bax? Yeah, here he goes. 25K is scraping the barrel along the 200 week moving, or 200 moving average, 200 weekly moving average line before H2 2022. Bitcoin never closed a month under the 200 week moving average. 2022 was due to a mountain of BS, 3 hours, capital Celsius, FTX, DeFi paper, BTC flushed, plus contagion over high level training. I just like this meme. You know, come on. This is very standard when you're bored. And this goes both ways. Obviously, you can be like, come on, do something. And what you guys experience all for 2022 is you say that and then boom, it crashed.
Yeah.
Now once we're moving back up, it can definitely blow your head off going to the upside, which is fun.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Satoshi Glockamoto asked, TJ, in your opinion, what could make the price go down? And I guess I would ask everyone. Yeah,
and I mean, go down right now. I think it's just a natural cool off. You know, there's really nothing. I think this is part of why people are starting to feel bullish. We don't have any FOMC meetings for any time soon. We've cleared CPI and earnings of the major tech companies, which again had little to no impact on the Bitcoin price. So I think only thing that would cause it to go down, and we will cover kind of what that looks like to pull back to the 20K price, because I think again only thing that would really cause it to pull down is just people taking profits, a natural cool off, kind of a reset for traders to, you know, people don't generally want to long at resistance right here. So a lot of, I think, of the leverage traders, specifically the day traders and, you know, the smart money, are waiting to see either clear another high level of 25.2, and then, you know, if we can clear 25.2 or 25.5, there's a pretty big volume gap there that lets us run right up to 28. So I'm waiting for that to happen, but I think it should be a natural retest, kind of pull back a little bit this week. But we'll know, I think, watching the trading this week, it's been showing strength. So if you're a trader, you know, you're kind of, I think a lot of the day traders are in wait mode. They're either taking profit on their longs close to that 25K level, maybe even looking to short there, and then kind of going from there. That's my take. And again,
so not an alien invasion.
No, not an alien invasion. What
about you guys?
That's a mass distraction. Yeah, Drew, what do you think? We haven't heard much from you yet.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I saw some comments in the chat like, what's the next big black swan? Because pandemic gave us a black swan, right? And yeah, I mean, they gave a momentary wick, but like this war, everyone keeps hanging on this war as like the next idea for how things are going to fall to the new lows and all that stuff. But we've been talking about war in mainstream media for a long time. It's already there. So it's pretty telegraphed that we are in a national or a multinational conflict. It's a proxy conflict. That's already understood. We had Biden visiting Ukraine on President's Day today. So what do you expect is, you know, it's already telegraphed in. And, you know, think about what happened to the markets in pandemic. You had that short wick, just a chance to get in, and then it just skyrocketed out of, you know, reach for a lot of people. So, yeah, I mean, like, I'm not really worried about the conflict turning the markets upside down unless there's like a large electrical movement or some kind of cyber war. And then on that, you know, we see China also, their chemical factories are being burned down, and they're having some weird things happen to their systems as well. So I think that, you know, our railroad stuff that we've seen here in the US and what China's experiencing, I think it's a kind of a controlled demolition by the World Economic Forum to push both sides into their hands, because neither the U.S. nor China ended up looking like the good guys after the panty. So I think that if it was one or the other, one of them would have been able to be the winner in that, essentially. So that's kind of how I feel, you know, and like right now I'm just waiting to see that 21K Bitcoin before deploying my next pile of money into altcoins. I feel good enough about Bitcoin and the holdings I have there. So I'm going to be looking at, you know, doubling down on some of the things I'm looking at, and data encryption type projects, layer zeros, and then the layer twos like Johnny's looking at heavily. those are where I'm focused in at. And, you know, I mean, I probably will buy another big bag of ICP too, because I like that project.
Yeah. And that's one thing I would keep an eye on. If you look at, like, obviously it's fun to look at the pumpers, but if you go to the 24-hour, like, and there's really not much here right now on the pullbacks. But if we could see Bitcoin pull back a little bit, and you start to see some of your favorite altcoins that maybe you're looking to accumulate, you haven't had a chance maybe to get on Matic. You know, Lido, obviously, you know, the AI niche with Ajax. We got Optimism, a lot of strong projects here, but they're barely down, you know, obviously because Bitcoin's been holding strong. A lot of these altcoins have been holding strong. If we can get a pullback, you know, you mentioned, I don't know if we'd make it all the way back to 20. A lot of people, I think Frank was looking at the value area low right now is in that 21. I think it's around 21.5 or 21.2. I can't remember the exact number.
That's why I've kind of adjusted my expectations. I'm open to stacking again at 21.
My only bit for a bearish narrative is that the stock market is putting in lower highs,
right?
And that's never good. And there's also the narrative that the CME gap, you know, could get filled. What is that exactly? Is it 19.5 or is it 20? What is it, Drew?
So it's $19,995
right.
is that one. But then I found another one that's at like 11,200, and then another one at 9,000. I think it's 9,900.
I bet that's why Richard Hart said 11.
But dude, like,
you
you got to think about that. Like, the data has only been gathered since the 2017 timeframe. So only 5 years of data. You know, and it's only specific to when a Friday close happens and then Monday opens, and you have that discrepancy in price, which happens during the week all the time in Bitcoin.
Right.
You'll go to sleep on Wednesday and it's up there on Thursday. Those don't count as CME gaps. And it looks like there's 5 total. It's a lot different than what people
today is a
think.
bank holiday, so we won't know until tomorrow.
Yeah, I think we're gonna see, like, exactly. I mean, that's a good point to make. With it being a bank holiday, you know, a lot of the traditional markets are closed. We're probably not going to see too much action today, but tomorrow I'd say we'll know more about what to expect. Yeah, there are minutes coming out on Wednesday, but I don't think there's going to be any surprising news there, JP. I mean, everybody kind of knows the result of the meeting already. The minutes are just kind of a recap, and yeah, we might see some reaction there.
Not to cut you off, but I kind of see us kind of coming down 22.
Yeah,
20,
I mean,
23.
It's major,
more 22.5.
Major value area range is around 21.8, says chemistry, bro. The value area low range, yeah, it could. That's what I'm saying. I think we'll know more once the week opens up where we're going to go. I think we're due for a pullback. We've been holding 25K strong. We kind of saw it start to happen on Friday, and then money rushed back in, which I thought was pretty interesting. That could make you feel a little bit more bullish, but again, it's time for a pullback, in my opinion. I think it'd be good.
There's a lot of volume down there too.
Exactly. And if we get that volume, and then it gives us another opportunity along, and then maybe we move back above 25 with authority over again, this is not going to happen as quickly, I don't think, as a lot of us would like. You know, it's going to be a slow, like I said, I keep saying it, a slow grind up.
It's a crab market.
Yeah, we'll slowly flip these levels, and then, you know, like, just like 20 was tough to get over. Now we're over 20. It's turned into a decent support. And then there was these 22 levels. Now, you know, we've gone up to 25 twice, got rejected. You know, getting rejected off of that level 2, 3, 4 times just makes it that much stronger. You keep knocking. Eventually that door is going to open, as they say in trading. Then once we flip it, it actually makes it that much better. If we've tested it on several times on the way up, it makes that support level that much stronger. And then we start grinding up from there. Tend to believe, all right, see you, Riddle with Puns. We love you, man. Tend to believe that we could see a retest this week. And I think we've got some of that stuff in some of these stories here. So, but what I was saying is, with those alts, is if we do come back to those lower levels of like 20K, that's your time to load up on some of those alts again, because alts are going to probably pull back a lot harder than Bitcoin. It's just like they're pumping more. When you get that pullback, people start to panic again. You're going to hear the bear. What cracks me up is, as soon as Bitcoin drops a few $1,000s, you see those bears come out so quick, going back to, we're going back to 12K, we're going back to 9K, or, you know, any of those crazy low numbers, and then it pumps up a little bit, like, we're going back to all-time high. You know, it's just, people are so fickle in this market, I feel like.
Honestly, I don't believe we're going down there, but I would be stoked.
I would love it. I would love it.
That was the whole thing of what made me like sick money off Bitcoin last time, was just seeing it get crushed during flu season.
So, Drew, real quick, I saw someone ask, could you explain what a CME gap is? Because I feel like not that you kind of got to be inside baseball to understand that concept.
We're coming out with a video on this and releasing the script today, but basically CME gaps is Chicago Mercantile Exchange. It only operates off of Monday through Friday time frames, and sometimes when you close the markets on Friday in the traditional manner, then, you know, Bitcoin will basically move from a price point that is much different than it is on Monday, which makes a gap where there is no connecting candles on the daily. And, you know, institutions use that kind of they've had their orders put in on Friday that never got filled. So it's left as a gap where they look to fill it by waiting for that price to fall back down. And then they have that buy order there. So,
and then like either themselves or their friends will kind of dump the market so their order gets filled. You know, kind of that institutional lobbying kind of.
Well, I mean, there's a potential for that, but basically it's just, you know, I mean, it's data from 2017, and it's because Bitcoin trades on Saturdays and Sundays. Sometimes it outruns, and it never comes back. And I'm seeing two that I don't think will ever come back. It's the $11,000 and the $9,000 one.
I think there's even one at 3,000, right? Or
Yeah, well, actually, I will have to check that. I didn't.
it may have filled. I don't know.
So the reason this is significant. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go
Well, the data that I'm talking about is on the daily candle time frame. So it may very well be, you know, that you have one that hit that on the 12, but on the daily, that's where I saw the candle. And I've gone over it 10 times now, and it's, you know, there's very minuscule gaps that are technically gaps that I've found, but yeah. I mean,
One thing that was interesting to me on that, we've had several kind of big traders when, like, we had Big Chads on the channel, we had Scott Melker on. It seems like Gareth Soloway, even almost every single time we ask a lot of the heavy traders what their opinion on the CME gap is, they're kind of like, meh, I don't really put any stock into it. I don't really think it's that interesting. It's more just a function of the way this market opens and closes. Obviously, Bitcoin doesn't close. It's 24/7, so the price can move when this futures market is closed.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they will admit, obviously, people are looking at it. It does have a pretty high fill rate. It becomes a little bit of a psychological, self-fulfilling prophecy, which is what happens on the charts a lot of the time. So to me, I would say it's a guide, but it's not an end-all be-all, because I think there is, it's in a high percentage that
like
they fill.
92 or 94% get filled.
I think it's actually around 90.
Yeah,
Well,
87, 90, 90.
But
You know,
either way, that's still like kind of noted like, oh, if this happens 90% of the time and there's one waiting right around 20K and we're only at 24 now, in the back of my mind, I'm like, oh yeah, that thing's definitely going to get filled before we kind of head back up after the halving. I would predict that gap will get filled before we get to 30.
I have a question for those of you that were here last bear market.
Okay.
Was it like this where you were hoping that there would be another dump, like you were, you know, waiting for it to go lower? Like when it dropped in 2020, was it like exciting? And you were like,
yeah, I'll say this, yes and no. Like no, not in 2020. You know, in 2018 it might have been okay. And you know, you're getting excited, you're getting lower prices. 2019, which is where I would equate to where we are right now, it was, again, not, you know, that's what, at least for me, that's when I was really starting to understand the 4-year cycles. And, you know, okay, great, now I'm getting a chance to accumulate Ethereum under $200, which was amazing for me. But when it got to 2020 and we were approaching the halving, and not, you know, and like you've been talking about this the whole time, and it was still dropping. And then Drew mentions flu season a lot. Like it was, and we know the printer was on like crazy. They were printing money like crazy, and the Bitcoin price was still going down. It started to get a little bit more scary. Now this time you started to have more doubts of like, maybe I was wrong. Maybe this stuff isn't here forever. Maybe this isn't going to be an inflation hedge. Maybe this isn't going to change the world the way I thought it was. And again, for me, it was a lot of the time, you know, like it's resetting your expectation of how long this stuff is going to take.
Yeah.
So I'd say in 2018, it sucked because I was still buying, oh, China's going to buy it in Chinese New Year and all these different things. You know, you're hearing all these narratives are very bullish through 2018, very bullish things through 2019. I didn't understand the cycles as well. By 2019, I was starting to, so I was expecting 2020 to be very bullish, knowing we were coming up to a halving. I think it was in May of 2020, and it was in March 12th, 2020, when we had the absolute lowest price. Early, you know, late 2019, early 2020, both Ben and I were having those, like, you start to doubt yourself, doubt your conviction, doubt your gut. Now, having gone through it, I have complete confidence going through it this time. I don't care how low it goes. I know it's coming. I don't care. People tell you all, oh, the SEC regulation. What if they regulate it out of the United States? It's like, great, do it. Push the price down. This is a global market. Other places are going to pick it up, and we're going to have more opportunity in the future. So it's a lot less, I think it's a lot less feasible right now to believe it's completely going away than it was back then in 2019, 2020. And even you look at people, you know, the real OGs that were back there in 2013, 2015, 2016, you know, like Mount Gox crashing and you having different major things. Like, it was much more plausible for it to completely get wiped out. And let's not forget, like, Bitcoin was not the first iteration at a digital currency, at even proof of work, even blockchain technology. It was just the first one that had all the pieces put together that really stuck and worked because it had the natural feedback loop and incentive structure built in correctly. And it was still at the size back then that government regulation really could have stepped in and made it much more difficult, shutting down the on and off ramps. Now, if they do that, they have to realize that they're severely handicapping themselves as time goes on. So it gives me a lot more confidence in this bear market. But yeah, it was scary back then. I mean, it wasn't just like, yeah, send it down, I want to buy more. Because even people would say that. We had this conversation, Brian and I, which you've seen him. He runs the 24/7 Hit Network channel. I remember him saying straight up, like, hey, if Bitcoin gets below, I think his number was 4K. If Bitcoin gets to 4K, I'm going to buy 5 BTC. Bitcoin went below 4K, and you were not putting, you know, he was terrified to put money in right there. So, you know, it's,
he didn't do it, did he?
No, he definitely didn't do it. And, you know, a lot of people didn't because
it was scary.
Yeah, everybody's pulling their money out and telling you you're an idiot, telling you you're insane for having this much conviction. And then you eventually you start to kind of believe them a little bit. So that's my encouragement I would have to you guys, especially if you're new here. You know, this is why we like to have this place, you know, a safe place for you guys to hang out, talk crypto with your friends. Because I would say generally, I mean, you were talking about that, Drew. Like when you were doing that in 2020, most of your peer people were telling you you're a crazy person.
Oh yeah. I've been waiting for Bretton Woods 2.0 for a long time, ever since I became a gold bug. And this conflict with BRICS just gets it that much closer to actually happening. So think about how this is going to look. That Russia was able to control the oil for a bit, and then the CIA comes in and did what they did in Nord Stream. This is not going to look good in 10 years, and there's going to be a big push to back fiat currencies with different baskets of value, basically. And in my opinion, it's never going to change. Like, you know, value is derived from energy. That's just what it is. And so energy spent is going to be a huge thing. And I really think that, you know, this, as scary as everything looks around the world, in 10 years, you know, we're going to be kicking ourselves for not purchasing Bitcoin at the ATM, not selling our neighbor's cat for crypto, because these nations are going to start fighting over this stuff and the bandwidth for it and the chips to produce it. You know, I've also been studying over the weekend the helium shortages that are coming up and have been on the brink for a while. Helium is used to cool quantum computers. There's a lot of you know, other types of materials that are being constrained right now at chemical production facilities as well that are used to operate smart devices. So, you know, it got my wheels spinning a bit. It's not so much that I see, you know, this sabotage stuff going on just after America. I think there's a larger narrative at it to kind of push both of the nations into the hand of NWO. So
what was your emotional feelings back then, AJ? How are you feeling about it? The price last bear market.
So my experience with Bitcoin is definitely like a unique one. So you know, I got in this car accident you know, 2016, right? And about a year later, 9 months later, whatever, I got a check in the mail because, you know, my car got wrecked and all this stuff. My friend Eric, RIP, told me, dude, if you don't put that entire check in Bitcoin, you're an idiot. And I was like, dude, like, I just want to take my girlfriend out to dinner. Like, you know what I mean? I didn't like, you know, I was like, really, like, I didn't know that much about it. And he was really one of the first people that really like kind of sat me down and talked to me about it. And like, I saw the movie Dope, you know, they talked about, they pulled the whole thing off because of Bitcoin. And I like kind of always paid attention to it. Right. And you know, and now if that $5,000 check, $6,000, whatever, it would be worth over like $4 million now with today's prices. You know what I mean? So I definitely like paid attention to that. And then Jada's grandfather, Marty, he bought Bitcoin at like, I don't know, like 10 or 12 grand. And then it fell down to like, to 4 or 5, and I was just like, damn, like that's not it, like, you know what I mean? But then I started buying Bitcoin to play online poker, and I like so that's like when I like got my first wallet and like did all that, you know what I mean? And then I started doing it more and more because I was not good on that website where I'm just bad at poker. I don't know. But then I just kind of started realizing like, damn, like maybe I should just not play poker and I should just buy the Bitcoin. You know, so I had like a little bit of Bitcoin, a little bit of dust. And then that's when I like really started learning about like Ethereum and stuff like that. Probably was when Ethereum was like $100 or something like that. And then this is when I started really listening to like Altcoin Daily and like the very few amount of crypto YouTube that was there. And this is probably like, I don't know, 2019, like maybe before 2020. And then there was a point in time where I remember I looked at Ethereum, it was like $100 and I didn't pay attention for a couple of months. I looked at it again and it was at like 500. And I was like, oh, like, whoa. And when that happened, I'm pretty sure I was like racing dirt bikes in Tennessee, and I remember looking at my phone, and I remember looking at Jada. I'm like, Jada, Ethereum's $500. She was like, no way, it was just at $100. I was like, I know. And then that's like when that moment is really when the gear started rolling, because I wasn't like in crypto like I am now. And then basically right around then is when we first started getting into crypto. So I never really got into crypto until like summer of 2020.
Right, which is a great time.
Which was a great time to get in. Yeah. And then you know, by 2021, I already like, you know, had a couple $1,000s in the market, and it like I 10x'd really fast that year. I landed my job with you guys. What was that, August or something like that? Like August, July, August, maybe even September. I forget. It's all a big blur to me at this point. Yeah. But I just remember like from the very beginning, when Eric told me to put my entire, you know, car crash money into Bitcoin, I wish, obviously hindsight's 2020, but I remember wanting to do it.
Yeah.
And like, you know what I mean? And that kind of says a lot about how like crypto was always kind of put in this like certain light. Like there was the people that thought it was risky, and then there was the people that were like in it like 24/7. And I always thought that it was like the most punk rock thing you could do was to be in crypto. It was definitely like an anti-establishment. It's a middle finger to the dollar. It's a middle finger to everything that like the legacy system wants to brainwash you into believing. Yep. And that is literally the attraction that kind of that grabbed me early on. So sorry for the long-winded story there.
No.
But it just goes to say, like, you know, when you have that gut feeling in your stomach, you should listen to it.
Well, and that's a great point. I mean, it is actually very consistent with what we're seeing in the chat a lot. Like Bobby Dial said, 2016 BTC, I wish I only found it in 2018. What we've heard time and time again, we had everybody last week go over all their different stories of how they got into it. Many people heard about it long before they really moved in with a lot of conviction, because it's easy to hear about it and then everybody tells you it's a scam. Somebody else just said, where did it go? Where is it? Somebody just said my wife. William Carey said my wife told me Bitcoin is a scam and demanded I sell everything yesterday. Bottom signal is up. Which, I mean, it's just true. You hear that a lot of different times from a lot of different people. DZ, I mean, Hannah said she found it at a very young, you know, years before she got involved in it. DZ, same thing. You know, like I heard about it. Somebody told me to buy it. I might have even bought a little bit, but then I totally forgot about it until, you know, I come back later, you know, and again, it usually takes that second cycle when everybody tells you it's dead. And then you come back like, wait a minute, it's not dead. It's actually way up from where I first heard about it. Like maybe I should do a little bit more research, learn about this a little bit more. You know, so that is very consistent with a lot of you guys in the chat saying, you know, I heard about it here, but I bought into it there, got conviction with it, you know, after the fact. And that's one thing I would encourage all of you guys, you know, to continue to research, continue to learn about it. If you have doubts about it, like that's okay. That's actually pretty normal. That's actually healthy for you to question what you're being told. Go do your own research. That's why you hear it championed in this space so much. Read the Bitcoin Standard, you know, read a bunch of Bitcoin books. There's a lot of good ones out there. Read Catching Up to Crypto, read the Bitcoin Standard, read Digital Gold, you know, read Internet of Money was one of my favorite ones. You know, I listened to a lot of Andreas Antonopoulos videos. Like he was one that really helped me get my head around the Bitcoin revolution and what it represents, to AJ's point, what it really is doing, disrupting the centralized financial system and really changing the world when it comes to human rights and the future. Somebody else in the chat was also saying, I don't know if it was YouTube or Twitch, saying that there's no way we go back below 21.6 or 21.5. We're definitely not feeling that CME gap. I would be careful not to be so confident there because, you know, like I said, I think we're going to range in here. It's, you know, we can very easily, if we're at 21 and change, it doesn't take much to wick down below 19 very quickly. And we might get bought up. You might only be down there for 15 minutes or not, or less even, you know, but I would not be 100% confident that that CME gap won't fill. And again, we've seen that happen time and time again, where it seems like it won't ever go below a certain price, and then it does. I don't think anybody saw 3,800 coming in 2020 pre the halving. So Fanboy says when people learn about the 4-year cycle, that's when they come back in. Generally speaking, yeah, I'd agree. But a lot of what's unfortunate, I feel like, is many people, once the price starts dumping, and this is what we're seeing right now. So like all of you guys that are in the chat and all you guys that are researching and watching right now, you're the smart ones. You're the ones that have an opportunity to accumulate life-changing amounts of crypto, like wealth generating opportunities for the rest of your lifetime if you're accumulating right now, because we are in a bear market or an accumulation market. But unfortunately, what happens most of the time for people that buy at the top and then it goes down this much, they want to forget about it. They don't ever want to check on it again. They just like, oh, I got, I was an idiot. I bought this and now it's way lower. I just want to forget that I did that. And then they come back when the price is, again, close to 50K. Once we get above 50K, that's when, again, we'll see retail come piling back in. Unfortunately, that's another, most likely if it happens this year, it's probably going to be another bull trap. We'll retrace all the way back down to 20. That washes out retail again, and then the cycle continues. So the halving almost always, if you take it back to supply and demand, the halving drives supply and demand economics. We see it over and over. Bitcoin drives all the other altcoins. There's plenty of opportunity to accumulate altcoins, plenty of money to be made in altcoins. You always want to take profit on those. That's the other thing I learned in the bull market is don't be afraid to take profits. Don't be afraid. You're going to hear next time when the price is going, oh, this time it's different. This time it's different. It's not going to retrace like it always does. And then it will, because it gets overbought on speculation of people getting excited on the hype, and then the realization of what reality is sets in. Then we pull back again, and when we do it all over. So Bobby Dial saying, so is Plan B still in play? Referring to the stock to flow model. It's something actually. I think it was when Scott Melker was on. We were talking about that. I think technically you could make the pretty strong case that what was going on with FTX and a lot of the leverage and a lot of the price pressure on the downside is what kind of invalidated some of that stuff on to the upside. So obviously with models, like they're good until they break and then you have to adjust the model. And so you can make the argument that model broke and you have to adjust your assessment there. But generally speaking, I do think it's been one of the more accurate guides when it comes to supply and demand. Stock to flow really does obviously key in on supply and demand. So it's one that I continue to look at. I know it says, I think that's the one that shows, Bitcoin to around $1 million by 2030, which probably sounds crazy to a lot of you guys right now, but it doesn't sound too insane to me if we get it. If I'm still holding strong that I think we're going to get a bigger bull cycle this time, where it's going to be the end of diminishing returns. This next cycle, I think will go well into the 200s, in my opinion, for the Bitcoin price. And if that happens, it's not out of the question, again, a couple more cycles that we could see some crazy numbers for Bitcoin come 2030. So, but again, that's a lot longer than a lot of people want to look at, that are a lot longer than what a lot of people are thinking about. And that's why I always say, be patient. The fastest way to get wrecked in crypto is trying to get rich quick, trying to get rich and by quick, I mean 1 year, 2 year, even 3 years. You want to have at least a 5-year time frame. You want to be accumulating for the long run. Just keep in mind, a lot of your altcoins aren't probably going to do what you think they're going to do. I always caution people, don't do the math based on the previous all-time highs of when Bitcoin was, and this is something I did, and I'm guilty of doing this myself. Oh, when Bitcoin was this price, when Bitcoin was 20K, the first time Cardano was here. And so all I need is Bitcoin to get back to 20K, and then Cardano will be back here, and I'll be rich and set for the rest of my life. Now, obviously Cardano did come back up, but it wasn't exactly the same as what Bitcoin was, and that's because I didn't really understand tokenomics and emission rates. And hey, there's a lot more supply in Cardano out there now than there was, and so those are all relative against each other. So that's just something I would caution you with, especially when it comes to altcoins, is really dig into the tokenomics. We talk about it on this channel. Is it Crypto Compare? What is the one that shows
Coin Perspective?
Coin Perspective. Yeah, Kelly's a big fan of Coin Perspective.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, and it's great. You start, like, it's easy to say that, but then you start plugging and playing with some of these different coins and, looking at how much, we were talking about Blur token this morning and a lot of the stuff that was happening over the weekend with Blur. The price comes out, it absolutely dumped and it pumps back up off the floor, but we know there's going to be more Blur coming into circulation at certain rates. And obviously when that happens in big chunks, that's going to, push the price down. So it's all about supply and demand. It's all about money flow. Obviously, if they're inflating money supply globally, that's another thing to keep an eye on. Look at the global money supply chart. It's another one where you can see, like, oh, okay, if they're printing, obviously some of these other things that have a set supply. That's why I like real estate. That's why I like Bitcoin. You know, like how a lot of those people like gold because it's it's
I
certain.
love gold.
Yeah, there you go. Drew's our resident gold bug there.
That's funny.
Yeah, so that's what I have to say about
And
that.
to add to TJ's point, what he said about understanding tokenomics and token emission rates, that is such a big deal. That's something that I wasn't exactly like privy to when I first got into crypto. But then like, I recently kind of went on this reel of like doing price predictions of stuff like that. And did you know, like, I didn't know that Dogecoin.
That's what I was going to say to you. When we
Dogecoin,
did that thing. Yeah.
Yeah. When Dogecoin makes 14 million new coins every day, Gala makes like 16 million coins every day, and they're having is on July 21st every year, and it'll get cut in half, and then it'll make 8 million more every day after. Like, I didn't know that stuff until I really started diving into different like token emissions. So definitely when you're looking at coins, always look at, is the supply already all the way there, like say Quant or Engine or something like that. Like what's there is what's there. And then there's other coins that are making new coins every day. When the supply goes up, the price goes down. So you always want to pay attention to that stuff. To add to TJ's points, it's super
People
big
were
deal.
shocked in your space about that. You're bringing up like by the time we get to the next bull market or by the time the schedule hits there,
Yeah, the supply is going to be boom.
It's going to be difficult to hit 60 cents.
Yeah,
again.
like you're literally, there's a lot of coins when you're doing price predictions that you're trying to hit a moving target, because you have to do the math on where the top of the next market is projected to be and how many coins will be in that supply by the time you get there versus the market cap where it is now and what it's projected to be by the time you get there. It's like throwing darts with your left hand blindfolded, and they spin you before you throw it, and you don't even know where the dartboard is.
There you go.
You're more likely to hit an eye than the bullseye.
I have a question from the basement, from Crypto Mikey. A question here for everyone. If I ask you how many coins, excluding stables, that will have 100 billion plus market cap in the next bull run, what would be your guess? My prediction is 15. I know I'm maybe a little too bullish.
100 billion plus.
Less than 10.
I don't know. I mean, I think that the next overall market cap has potential to hit like, $6-7 trillion. In that though, that's hard to make that call. I mean, because you could see a consolidation of power within coins. You could see a lot of fat be trimmed.
You most likely will. Yeah, and just for perspective, the only two right now that have more than that is Bitcoin and Ethereum. Bitcoin at 479, Ethereum at 200. I would say this is somewhat of a function of how much money they print, obviously, because if the fiat number starts to inflate, then you could see that flow into different projects.
Yep.
I would say less than 10, most likely.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's a lot. I mean, that's a lot to have in there.
5.
Yeah, that's safe.
Yeah.
That's totally safe.
Because I think even if we see like a lot of it will flow into Bitcoin, most likely. If we do see, like, to Drew's point, if we get, say, again, 6 trillion is a 6x from where we're at right now for the entire market. We're only sitting at little over $1 trillion. Most likely we'll see we'll see Bitcoin suck up at least $1 trillion of that. And then it starts to kind of distribute. A lot of that would go into Ethereum, even if we had Ethereum at 800 billion, so, and then a lot of these are in stables. I don't know. Like, I mean, because look, once you get outside of stables,
it gets thin.
Yeah, it gets real thin real quick.
I mean,
You're
even
talking
for Cardano to go to $4. If you go back to that real quick, that would be what
1.4 trillion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like what?
It takes a lot. So
that's a lot.
Yeah, and
Just
like I said, that's going to be more a function of the money printer going crazy burr, than it is going to be, the different coins really having a lot of money flow into them. So I don't, and then you're going to see CBDCs, you're going to see a lot of government regulation pushing stuff around. So it'll be interesting. I mean, we're just going to have to wait and see on some of that. And again, I think it's going to flow into Bitcoin first. Somebody said that's why I haven't bought into Flow, and that's one. It's very true. Flow, great project, great for NFTs, but the inflation rate and the amount of the tokenomics are not great. Even Cosmos, I love Cosmos, Atom. They've got some tokenomic issues now. They're trying to change them, and that somebody else made that point too earlier, which is something to keep in mind. You can't always trust the tokenomics because they can vote on them, they can change them. That's part of what makes Bitcoin more reliable, is that it's very consistent. It doesn't change. That's why many people would say, even though in theory, if consensus was made, you could, change the total supply, they never will, because that's part of what makes it unique. Ethereum doesn't have a supply cap, so again, understanding all of these things, understanding the way the governance works, it's much easier said than done. But I would encourage everybody, if you're going to be putting real big money into this stuff, do your own research, read about it, learn about it. So And then we'll get into more picks and coins and some of that and how to do that a little bit, later this week or some other shows. But I did want to touch on this real quick because I'm a big fan of Jesse Powell and Kraken. I do think they're getting treated a little unfairly here. I like his theory. This kind of got me thinking, and I don't necessarily disagree. He's referring to SEC, Gary Gensler. We know Caitlin Long came out against this as well, basically saying a lot of the good actors have come out and warned the regulators about this stuff, meaning things like FTX for years and getting no credit. So he says, I have a theory. Regulators let the bad guys get big and blow up because it serves their agenda, which we've seen in politics very clearly. People are willing to sacrifice retail. Politicians are very willing to sacrifice the people that they're supposed to represent if it serves their agenda, if it serves their path to power. He says, which their agenda is this. One, it destroys capital and resources in the crypto ecosystem. It burns people and it deters adoption. It gives air cover to attack good actors. The bad guys are actually on side. Good guys are the enemy, meaning that, when Kraken or when Eric Voorhees, there's a reason Jesse Powell and Eric Voorhees hate the regulators because they've tried to do everything right. They've tried to give them the information that they need. They've tried to educate them on how to move this forward in a positive and a productive way for citizens and for the world. And they get nothing but pushback. They get nothing but resistance and get treated like they're the bad guys for trying to push these things forward. Meanwhile, they allow people like Sam Bankman-Fried, FTX, Celsius, Alex Mashinsky, Three Arrows Capital, a lot of these bad actors in the space to have bad business practices that suck up users, that suck up attention, that suck up VC capital, and then fail spectacularly in front of the world so the SEC can come in and say, hey, we're here to save the day. We're here to protect the people. We're going to put regulations in place now to stop this from happening. Meanwhile, they could have done it before it happened had they been interested, but they're not incentivized to take those actions because it doesn't serve their agenda to move their power forward in the government and what they're trying to accomplish.
Totally agree.
So, yeah, he laid that out. I mean, he said Kraken, Custodia Bank was the one Caitlin Long was referring to or was running. CEOs say regulators ignored their warnings about scams and fraud. Jesse Powell and Caitlin Long said that in trying to do the right thing by warning regulators of possible scams that blew up in their faces, they became targets more or less, and now they're treated. Basically, Jesse Powell's very frustrated that now he's being held up an example of like, look, we stopped this bad actor from providing staking services to U.S. citizens, which they were doing it in a very responsible way compared to everything that was going on in the market. They let the market run its course and get tons of people wrecked, billions of dollars. U.S. customers lost billions of dollars. Nobody lost anything on Kraken, anything. Nothing happened on Kraken, but they got fined $30 million and were forced to shut down their staking service. It's just, it's just a joke and it's frustrating. It's frustrating to see them treat people like, again, Eric Voorhees, yes, he leans libertarian. He leans towards less government, and things like this can show you why, because the people, generally speaking, they're trying to create self-regulatory bodies. That's one of the beautiful things of what blockchain allows. For the first time ever in society, you can have rules without rulers. You can have governance without governors. And that's what governments don't like. They like the position of power that they're in. They like being able to make the rules for their own benefit, set their own families up for the rest of their lives. And, we need to champion the DAOs and a lot of the decentralized movements and shut down a lot of the centralized rule makers and regulators, because every time they get involved, things get worse. Even if they have good intentions, I'm not saying everybody is ill-intentioned within government and within regulation, but generally speaking, when regulators get involved, things get worse, not better.
100%.
Yeah, this is like a digital renaissance, man. Sorry to cut you off. Here, I'll pull you up here. Let me see.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying with that, it's just like over here in America, like we're stepping on our own feet. We're like literally holding ourselves back. We're stifling innovation. There's this whole power grab over, like crypto outdoing the bond market. Well, meanwhile, Hong Kong's like, hey, look at that opportunity over there. You know what I mean? And this is why Brian Armstrong has that tweet about like the Congress needs to step it up, basically, because America very well could lose its financial dominance. The power of the dollar isn't like...
It's waning.
It's not looking that good, everybody. So it's just like we could either step on our own toes, or we could put our heads together and actually listen to people like Jesse Powell, who tried to go and make things right before he got sued for $30 million or whatever. And it's just like, it's insane to me that people at the top of this thing don't see the big picture with. I just don't want to see America just step on its own
picture.
tail.
They do see the big picture.
They just don't want to accept it.
We're still in a race at the end of the day.
Yeah,
it's a financial arms race.
Honestly, no.
And we're going to lose it.
No, it's not.
If crypto
it is a financial arms
gets held
race,
back.
but the finances are handled by military might right now. So until that changes, and if someone else wins, then that'll change. But basically, we have all the time in the world until the USS Reagan stops parking next to different countries.
Right.
That's basically the moral of the story. It's
Yeah.
an ugly reality. It's nothing that I'm a fan of. I get stuck in these loop conversations with macroeconomic people about, the dollar hegemony is going away and it's already waned and OPEC is doing away with you. And they just forget the fact of how this monetary system has been since the gold standard has been done away with. And, that's why I'm so adamant about Bitcoin, because it takes away that velocity of the dollar from those control systems. And the dollar is the biggest vote we have. That's all I feel like I have left in this country is just voting with my dollar and taking that power away from him directly.
Exactly. Great point. The biggest power you have is your voice and your power to exit. If you can exit the money system, that's the best way to vote in this system, or in the US, in my opinion. Somebody, where did it go? This is the Bitcoin way. Love that name. Also, shout out to everybody. If you're watching on YouTube, if you don't mind smashing the like for us, leaving us a comment. Do you agree, that less regulation is better? Let us know in the comments. Let us know some of the stuff you want us to talk. We've got 400 people in there, only 100 likes. If we want to get this Bitcoin message out there to the rest of the world, smash that like button for us. It really helps spread it in the YouTube algorithm, which is also under attack with Section 230 getting reviewed, which will be very interesting to see how that comes down between publishers versus platform and all that sort of stuff. They definitely do play the role of moderator, and they've been able to play both sides of the fence and be kind of immune from any litigation when it comes to their views on pushing the types of media that people see on Google and on YouTube, which are the top 2 searched and viewed websites. So Google Alphabet owns both of those. So interesting to see what happens with Section 230. The Zeus says, Drew, check your Twitter mentions. I tagged you in some interesting posts I think you might have found interesting.
Yeah, I think I did see those. He might be referring to the chemical spill overtaking the East Coast, but I think the numbers are incorrect on, it's not 2.5 million gallons of chemicals. There's only it's a few thousand gallons of chemicals, which is still not good. And it's I get what you're saying. I got to double check the math on that, because the amount of gallons available in those train cars that went off doesn't match up to the 2.5 mil. So,
question from the attic. Mike Volmer said, is there a website to let you know when tokens will be added to a cryptocurrency?
Yeah, go ahead, AJ.
On CoinGecko, not all coins, but some coins, there's a tab that says Tokenomics, and you can kind of see the inflation, emission, stuff like that, and also the distribution of founders, governance, like public sale, whatever. So CoinGecko has a Tokenomics tab for some coins. For coins that don't have that tab, you could either read their white paper or just do a heavy Google search and just ask about their token emissions, or even if you just is Dogecoin inflationary? Is this coin deflationary? Just a bunch of searches like that. You could definitely get your homework done on if your coin's increasing its supply, when there's going to be more supply, governance, stuff like that.
Yeah, there definitely are ones you can look into. I wouldn't say there's a end all, like CoinGecko, like you said, you're going to find a lot of information there. CoinMarketCap, you'll find some, and you can link to different places. There's not an end all be all one site that has everything. Again, Coin Perspective was one of those good ones.
Token Unlocks app. I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, Token Unlocks. I have heard of that. I haven't used it. So a lot. Get into there's a lot of DeFi Llama has a lot of information on there that shows TVL and some of that kind of stuff. So there you go. Casino Doggy says, been a lot of chemicals up in flames all around the world last couple of weeks. Maybe the powers need to create climate catastrophe just to justify the money they're robbing us of. Yeah, it gets crazy pretty quick when you look at the lack of coverage on some of this stuff.
Where's Greta?
Yeah.
Where are you, Greta?
Yeah.
How dare you?
Greta!
Yeah.
How dare you?
I saw a lot of funny memes. Shout out to Really Graceful. She did a really good video. She's another local YouTuber here in the Atlanta area. Did a great video on some of that kind of stuff over the weekend. She does a lot of stuff that kind of shows again, it's, you know, it's not, some people would call it conspiracy stuff, but it's just factual information that is or isn't being covered. Independent media is what, you know, YouTubers, you know, Rumble accounts, all that sort of stuff is the only people you really see giving this the time of day and putting stuff together. People are very quick to, oh, there's 1,700 train derailments in US every year. It's like, yeah, but generally speaking, those are mostly going into depots, you know, train changes, that sort of stuff. How many with serious chemical spills and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I agree with Bitcoin is the way. Vote for Jesse Powell to create regulation. I do hope he steps up. I want to see more from Jesse Powell and Eric Voorhees. I mean, Brian Armstrong, I'm glad he's starting to do something. Still not as sure where his convictions lie. I know exactly where Eric Voorhees and Jesse Powell stand. They've shown their convictions over the years. Unfortunately, I feel like they've been burned so many times by trying to step up and help this stuff. I think they're getting less and less willing to put themselves in the firing line for all of us, you know, because they've done it and they just get crucified over and over and over for trying to make these changes. I think because they do lean towards less government, you know, the government sees them as the enemy. But that they're the closest ones to coming up with good solutions. So I don't know if they're really going to be able to follow through, because it's just I think they're just frustrated, and I would be too if I were them. They've been here the longest, you know, for a very, very long time. I mean, Voorhees especially very early on.
Is that the real Tom Crown in the chat?
I don't know.
Oh, yeah,
Tom Crown,
maybe,
TJ
yeah,
Hype.
yeah,
I hope it is. I don't know. You can't tell. Is he
be.
verified? He needs to get. We need to get Tom Crown verified so we can
Yeah.
tell. Love Tom Crown.
We have his meme, but I can't do it because I'm sitting here.
Yeah, if you
no.
say Litecoin 3 times
Yeah.
in this chat, Tom
Tom
Crown,
Crown.
Tom Crown, if
will
you're real,
appear.
text me right now.
Yeah.
Like, you and we have each other's number.
Yeah.
Question from William Carey. Are any of you guys buying Doge? I'm on the fence.
I'm not a big Doge guy specifically for some of the things we just talked about. That being said, when there are narratives relating to it, again, we bought some right before we knew the SNL stuff was going to happen with Elon Musk, like just because we knew it was going to get pumped going into that, and we sold before the SNL announcement. Obviously, it dumped right afterwards. I mean, before the SNL appearance, I should say. So again, it might be something you can ride on a swing narrative. It's not generally something I prefer to do. I'm in accumulation mode on strong projects right now. I'm buying a lot of Bitcoin and Ethereum, and then I'm looking to take some of that Ethereum and move it into other altcoins that I think are going to pump into, you know, when Bitcoin pumps. Again, riding, even if it's very short term, AI coins, metaverse project, you know, like maybe metaverse stuff, maybe not, just kind of depends. I'm looking very heavily at anything zero knowledge related. You guys have heard me talk about that a lot on this channel. Mean and Protocol, a handful of other ones, Optimism, Arbitrum, a lot of these layer 2 solutions for Ethereum. I think a lot of the smart institutional money are looking at Ethereum and layer 2s, Lido, things that allow for staking, things that allow for more growth. I'm looking at ecosystems that have activity on it. TVL, Canto is another one I noticed on DeFi Llama. If you go to DeFi Llama, and I was just looking, I was like, why does you know, and again, I'm not saying Canto is a slam dunk. There's definitely some issues with their founder and tokenomics and some of that stuff early on, but I was just noticing Canto has almost as much TVL as Optimism, and I don't hear anybody talking about it's CANTO.
What?
Not telling you to. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'll go. Let me see if I can
Let's
find it
check
real quick.
that out.
What about you guys? Anything else on that? I mean, what do you guys think about Doge while I pull this up? And then we got to wrap up pretty soon.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, you know, 14 million new Doge are made every day. The idea of Doge getting to $1 is basically impossible unless Elon puts his foot down and makes like the biggest deal ever out of Doge. It would take some like a very, very, very big deal for Doge to ever get to $1 or even reclaim its previous all-time high. But if Doge gets back to 55 cents, wow, because that would require a very, very large market cap. And also to answer someone's question about, so you're saying Cardano's not going to get the $4. I'm not saying Cardano can't get the $4. It's just going to need a market cap of well over $114 billion to have a $4 Cardano. So I actually feel like Cardano is definitely one of the coins that will get over if there's a top 5 of coins over 100 billion. ADA is without a doubt one of those coins. So I actually kind of call it a $5 to $6 Cardano, but it's going to take a lot. The money printer is going to have to go burr. There's going to have to be some form of quantitative easing. If that comes in the form of a war or them soft landing inflation and then loosening the rubber band back. I mean, there's a lot of ways we get to that point in time, and we have time to get to that point. But you know, time takes time, and it is what it is. You know, it's hard to tell. What do you think?
What do you think is coming next? Biden is literally in Ukraine on President's Day.
Yeah.
We're like,
Are you
think
serious?
about what's going on right now.
Yeah.
Like, it's coming. We're here. You know, so yes, they do turn on. I mean, the repos are already record repos for this year. The last thing they have on their belt, the last round in the iron is just true quantitative easing, or they switch and tokenize the banking system in general, which is also bullish. So pick your poison. You know, it's coming. And yeah, I own Doge and I hate it. So there you go. So, yeah.
There you go. And I will recant what I was saying about Kanto. It's a lot further down the list than I remember. It was right up here in the top 10. Now it's down at number 16. But
This is a layer 2.
Kanto, no, I believe it's a layer 1, I believe.
Oh, okay.
TVL, you know, basically, I to be honest, I'm not 100% sure if it's a layer 2 or
I've never heard of it, to be
Yeah,
honest.
I hadn't either.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I just noticed it over the weekend or last week. I was looking at some of this. I was like, wait a minute. Like, obviously, most of these you've heard about. And again, this is something to be careful with if you're looking at this list here. TVL, Tron, 5.4 billion. This is pretty much all Justin Sun, you know, so that can be gamed a little bit if you go into it. It's Sun Swap and Sun this and Sun that. But again, if you look at, okay, so we know obviously, let's see, I'll pull this over just a little bit so you guys can see that.
Yeah.
Obviously, you know, I'm looking at over here, TVL, you know, there's a ton on, which is total value locked. There's a ton on Ethereum, Arbitrum, above Polygon, which was interesting, above Matic with, you know, optimism here. You know, it's just really interesting to look at these numbers. So, you know, Ethereum, Polygon, Arbitrum, Optimism, that's all different lockups on Ethereum, just using different chains. But again, you got Avalanche sitting right here, Phantom sitting right here. A lot of people, Chronos, which again, I'd be careful with. I mean, nothing against it. That's CR, you know, like crypto.com project.
Yeah.
Solana is still up here. Osmosis, this is part of the Cosmos Atom network there. There's Algorand, Clayton, and then there's Kanto sitting right here at number 16. So you got a lot right here in this 200 million range. But again, you know, if you like Avalanche, if you like Phantom, and again, these numbers kind of like commits and volume and a lot of this stuff can be gamed a little bit. So don't use this as your only guide. But again, DeFi Llama, a lot of really good information on there. You can look at, you know, here, you can look at just Cosmos chains. You can look at, yeah, Kanto, it looks like is on Cosmos. That's what it was.
Okay.
So Kanto number 3 on Cosmos. You know, Osmosis is the one I like kind of the most, but it's just another up and coming one. You know, Thorchain I've looked at.
What the hell's Terra doing still here?
Terra 2.
That's what I'm, yeah,
What is this?
that's what I'm saying. It's very interesting. I mean, it's kind of same with Solana. You can look at EVM, non-EVM. You know, it's a cool website. So I would recommend you guys playing around with that. That is all we have time for today, though. We love all of you guys. Hey, we got 420 watching right now.
Hey,
Great number for crypto. Smash the likes. We should be able to get to at least, if all of you stop what you're doing and hit the like button right now, we can end this video with 420 likes. We would love that. Shout out to the crypto ecosystem. You guys are all the greatest.
Yes.
Jason Foley, the middle Johnny Yo, Adam Beller, Gary Austin. We got One Vionster, Casino Doggy Dude, What Does Mine Say, Chemistry Bro, Manowalk, Manly Crypto, DGen1, Puin78 did, DJev, Impervian, The Real Crypto, Stevo, Crimson Caravan Company. You guys are all the greatest. We love hanging out with you guys. Talk crypto with your friends. Spread the love. Tell, you know, push for smart crypto regulation. Buy Bitcoin.
Have a wonderful day.
Have a wonderful day. We're gonna raid Hit Network Gaming, hopefully.
He's
and
screaming bloody murder over there.
yeah, he's having a lot of
better
fun.
go
He's
check
playing the new Harry Potter game. I can't think of the name of it. It looks,
Hogwarts Legacy.
yeah, Hogwarts Legacy. It looks like so much fun. I wish I was doing that right now.
Yep.
But
Aw.
we love all of you guys. We'll see you tomorrow.
Peace out.